everyone, we're back with some Warm Man Talks in a new interactive format. I'm with my good friend Jack Fordham, who I like to call Jacky Legs, because he's got a good set of pins on him. And yeah, so I'm just going to kind of do a set of talks out and about, and just kind of like reflect on things that like are kind of interesting to me and us, and you know, things that might have negative effects on our mental health. So we're going to talk about social media today.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Basically, I think we all kind of know why I want to talk about social media today as well, is because it's absolutely messing with everyone's heads at the minute. I mean, it's definitely sent me down a few rungs on the ladder recently. And yeah, like, you can take in far too much information online. And you know, it's kind of like the beauty of social media, but it's also like its biggest curse is that like information is so easily accessible that you kind of don't know when to stop accessing it.
Yeah. It's not just that either, it's also that like it's so accessible, but it's presented as though it's objective information and news, which obviously isn't the case, as people are realizing more and more now. But because it's so easy to access and so easily digestible, it just gets into your consciousness way too easily, and you can easily be misinformed.
And plus, like, you get like secondhand like anxiety from seeing people panicking about other things on social media as well. Like, I think that's kind of like what sends me west, is that when I see people panicking online, I kind of start to think, crap, well, I should be panicking, or like there's something I've missed and I need to be informed.
Yeah.
And I kind of like rush off to find as much information about the subject topic as possible.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
What?
I mean, the pandemic for me kind of sent me on a spiral, and that was kind of like, right, so is there a conspiracy behind it?
Yeah.
Who's against us? Who's like, you know, gaining loads more from like there being a pandemic? And you just go down like a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And then with like social media as well, like you can find like pros and cons for like any situation. Like, you can totally believe in a conspiracy theory if you really want to, when you're in an anxious moment.
Yeah, and the more that you the more you look into those things, the more the algorithms will feed you more of it, you know. So once you get stuck into one conspiracy idea, you know, you're just gonna see more and more of it, and it just like doubles down on all your beliefs.
Yeah.
So it's hard to dig yourself out of that. It's hard to even realise that what you're getting isn't true.
Yeah, once the algorithm gets you,
you're done for.
I'll get you, bitch.
And that's like, it's such the hardest thing as well, is to get yourself out of like the negative algorithm that like your like phone picks up for you. Like, particularly on like your natural newsfeed on your phone, when you start to kind of scroll through, like everything was like shit. Like, for me anyway, it was kind of like, yeah, you're fucked. Yeah, the world's against you.
Come on, people, get it together. This is sick.
Yeah.
And then even like when you kind of start to get out of that like hole of negativity, something else brings you in. Like for me, it then became like, oh well, now that I can like deal with the pandemic, so to speak, it was then kind of like, what's the next thing that I can kind of like fuck myself over with? And I think climate change became that for me as well.
It's because it's all content, isn't it? And it's all, the success of it is based on engagement. So the things that are upsetting and challenging, they're like the things that are going to get the most traction. So they're what we get fed. Like, good news stories aren't terribly interesting. Like, we tend to be more pulled towards what the fuck's going wrong today.
Yeah. And funny you should mention that, to be fair though, because on the way here I was thinking that like, obviously it's like a primal and natural instinct to kind of like give in to bad news.
Oh yeah.
Harder than like good news, because bad news keeps you in, you know, retrospective, like keeps you out of danger.
Absolutely.
But it's kind of like, we get bad news 100 times a day. So it's like, you know what I mean?
You're bombarded by it.
And the thing is, it's like things that aren't necessarily bad through social media and the news itself they'll amplify it and make it seem like, you know, it's, you know, this thing is on your doorstep, like, be aware, be ready for it.
Yeah.
And if you're getting that like 100 times a day, like, it's nuts.
Well, you just get desensitized. Like something that I think quite a lot lately that is quite upsetting to me is just the degree of apathy that I feel like about a lot of political problems and social problems. Like I just feel fucking ground down by them all because there's so many, and it's like I haven't got enough heart left to care about all these things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If I care about people who are struggling during COVID, and I'm worried about, like you're saying, climate change, and I'm worried about social inequality and everything, and then you see an advert for, oh, all these donkeys in Romania, they're all being beaten up and not being cared for properly.
Beaten up.
And I'm just like, you know what I mean?
Oh, bless them.
And I'm just like, I've got no room left to care about that, and I love donkeys as much as anyone.
Yeah, and that's it. And I think as well, like, if you're a very empathetic person, like I kind of find myself, like, you feel guilty about not being a part of a solution to kind of help these things. And you kind of need to realise in yourself that, like, you can't help everything and everyone. Like, you kind of, you know, need to just kind of pick the things that mean the most to you and just be happy that, like, you are going to make your difference. If you can give more time to that, because you can't give your time to everything. And if you do, it's only going to make you feel worse about yourself, because you're going to kind of realise that you're not, you know, you can't give yourself to 100% to everything, and you're going to burn out and you're going to feel like crap.
Uh-oh, I don't really want to do the work today. I don't really want to do the work today. I don't really want to do the work today. I don't want to do the work today.
Also, we've just decided to walk up the steepest.
You're going to hear us breathing heavily now.
If our breaths start to become really cumbersome,
we'll edit it out.
It's why. Let's go right, it seems less steep.
I thought I was fit.
And there we go. Yeah, because you can so easily forget that we're actually really lucky, a lot of us, to be living in the time that we are. Because things are getting better. And I kind of don't want to start spouting out like statistics, because you will need to fact check where they're coming from. Oh, dear me. Jack, we're meant to be like young, strapping.
I know, I thought I was fit.
Strapping men.
I ain't nothing.
Come on, Mr. Frodo. I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you. Come on!
So where were we?
So we were talking about the
fact checking.
Yeah,
fact check your social media. Basically, don't believe everything you see, because not everything from experience is as serious and as urgent as you might think. I mean, let's fucking face it, like, when you totally believe in something so much and it like affects you personally and you want to make a change, of course you'll say it's urgent. Like, you know, it's close to your heart.
You've got to try and recognise the psychological biases as well. Like, you're always gonna, things that tick your boxes and agree with your values, you're gonna see them, and they're gonna kind of bypass a lot of your logical reasoning, if you get what I mean. Like, if you see something about an issue that you're passionate about, your chances are you're going to jump to the conclusion that it's true, because you already kind of think that anyway, and it just reaffirms what you know. It's confirmation bias, isn't it?
Yes.
So we're all confirmation bias, But like,
because I saw a TikTok of some guy explaining how, like, dangerous confirmation bias can be. Maybe, did you see the same one?
No, I didn't know.
Are you the guy?
It's my alter ego. But like, I think a lot of us who are sort of more lefty, liberal-minded people, we tend to only see that happening on the other side of the argument. But we're just as prone to it as anyone else. We're just as human as people who believe COVID's, you know, not real or not as serious as it should be. Like, we're all, you know, our brains work in the exact same way.
Yeah, you kind of need to force yourself to... I'll come back to this. Slow people. Yeah, you need to... Hey, go on this way. Come on, follow me.
Sorry, folks.
You need to, like, force yourself to look at the opposing viewpoints.
Don't fall in, mate.
Actually, do I want to do this? Visions of my phone just falling in the river.
Plop.
But yeah, you need to force yourself to like look at opposing viewpoints.
Yeah, man. I listen to several podcasts that I hate. I do it on purpose.
Hold on, I really need a cough. It's not what you think. It's not Corona.
Do you know that?
I think I'm getting the black lung, Bob.
Get a swab test out your pocket, get it down your throat. But yeah, like you really need to like challenge your own thoughts and your beliefs. Because the thing is not to like change your own opinion as much as it's just nice to kind of not feel like you're falling into your own little like bubble. What do they call that?
Silos. Or like a... Oh, yeah, there is a term, isn't there?
Oh man, why is it always on a video? Like when we have the knowledge, we just can just never remember when we're recording.
Can't remember the exact word, but I know, people know what you mean.
Yeah, something bubble. Anyway,
You said. Our survey said.
online you get caught in it, and you kind of like really just fall into like a world of like everyone around you and everything you're advertised to. Like it's everything that like backs up like your own beliefs, and you need to like challenge that. It's like quite important too. Because I think that's how a lot of people see the world, is like black and white. Particularly with like things, you know, when like the Black Lives Matter movement happened, we spoke about this not long back, that like, you know, you're racist or you're not racist. But at times there are like a lot of underlying issues as to why people are against an important movement like that. And it's not because they're racist, it's just because, you know, they maybe feel hard done by and they've never felt like society's given them anything. But it's nice to kind of see why they might believe that, and you know, again, challenge your beliefs that like, yeah, maybe they're not actually racist. So yes, that's exactly why it's important to challenge your confirmation bias and fact check the shit out of things.
You better check yourself or you wreck yourself, 'cause I'm bad for your health.
So a few final thoughts from us, considering we've talked about all the negative effects of social media and we've sprinkled in some positives. But yeah, just kind of gonna wrap it up with like how we kind of use social media now and what helps us. So I'll start.
You want to roll?
That was such a loving look you gave me, like a proud father.
There he goes.
You make your daddy proud. You hear me?
I'm gonna make you proud, Daddy. I'm gonna make you so proud.
You make your daddy proud.
You're gonna be so proud.
Proud?
Proud.
Where's my mind? No, right, so I follow a lot more positive social media pages, particularly on Instagram. Like I follow like Giving Tuesdays, Positive News Network, and again for things like, you know, again because I've talked about previously that like climate change gives me anxiety among other things, but it's kind of like finding pages that tell you the positive effects of what are going on, as well as the negative effects. You know, it's like that there are pages where they strike a fine balance and kind of give like really constructive feedback as to like where they're getting their information from. And it's important to do that because, again, if you're just getting negativity all the time, you'll just think, fuck it.
Yeah.
And that's the worst place to get to.
I'd probably agree, like in terms of ways to use it healthily. Like what I tend to do is just make sure that I'm not only following stuff that I agree with without any thought. I try and follow things that challenge me a little bit. I try and follow, you know, newspapers that I really don't like, for example, just to kind of see what's being said.
Yeah.
And I know people say you're not supposed to, but I do read the comments on like a Daily Mail article.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think it's a bit of a reality check, because you like to think that, oh, no one could say anything or think anything that I believe to be so wrong. But you spend 5 minutes in a comment section on the Daily Mail and you'll quickly realise that there's a very broad range of opinions in this country.
Yeah, and that's it as well. It's kind of like
And that's important.
You don't need to believe Brenda, who works down at the local shop, that like things was, you know, if she's going, yeah, like it's really bad what's going on there, and I heard from fucking Frank down the road that like the government have said this. Like, where they're getting their information from, like, you don't know.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're just prone to believe people online for whatever reason, because you just kind of think, well, it's online.
I think another thing as well that I do that I think, we were talking about fact checking earlier, there's a really good UK company called Full Fact. And they do like an email mailing list, but they're on social media, and they've got a podcast as well. And they're just a fact checking website, like a non-profit.
Yeah.
And they just, whatever the big conspiracy theories are, or the memes of the day, or big social media posts that are doing the rounds virally, they just go into it and dig right in and like find out if there's any sort of funding behind it, you know, what the real truth is, what the science says. And they seem, from what I can gather, to be quite
legitimate,
non-partisan, and yeah, they're not like, they don't seem to have much of an agenda apart from finding the truth. So
I mean, I follow one on Instagram called UK Fact Check Politics.
Yeah, I follow them as well.
And even then I kind of think, you know, like, you think you're following like a fact check page, but some fact check pages really do have like their own bias in terms of what they're fact checking as well. So
yeah,
again, it's like, it's so hard. Just, you know, find things that make you feel comfortable, and like trust your kind of like gut and your instincts as well.
Yeah.
If you know something's kind of having a negative effect on your mental health, knowingly try to change it, because at the end of the day, you're the only one who has the power to kind of change your mindset and, you know, make yourself feel better. And it's hard to do, because, you know, you have to take responsibility to kind of make those changes. And like, when you're feeling shit, the last thing you want to do is have to put in the effort to make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
But you do, and you don't have to do it all at once. Just kind of do it slowly and gradually, and you'll kind of get to a point where like things become easier, and the information you're taking in is healthier.
Yeah.
Because I don't think a lot of us have actually realised up until like the past year and this year now that like the way we've been kind of taking things in is quite like really unhealthy.
Yeah. Something else I've been doing as well that people might find helpful is like forcing myself to have kind of a detox, either be it for like in the evening in a weekday, or sometimes like a full day on the weekend, and just like, not like a food detox, but just like a technology detox. Like, I won't listen to anything or take in any new information or any news, and it kind of like, it's surprising how much it feels like a reset.
Yeah.
Because again, it's that thing of like, when you're so used to this intense level of engagement, when you pull away from it for the first few hours, there's a proper like pull to do it again. But after a while, I find that like, it feels like my brainwaves kind of settle, and I feel more comfortable doing something quietly and peacefully without feeling the need to escape from it.
Yeah.
And that's been quite impactful for me.
Yeah, like you honestly don't need to take in as much news and information as you do. Like, I feel like the news once or twice a day is enough, because really it's just recycled throughout the day, like in every hourly, hour and a half increment, and it's absolutely nuts. It doesn't need to be. It really doesn't need to be.
You heard it here first.
And on that note, we'll call it quits. But it's been a pleasure.
As always.
All the best.